Welcome back from the ad break. We are continuing with our application questions under the topic business strategies. Right, the question says, read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. We've got Tshegoe Designers, which is TD. Tshegoe Designers specializes in selling clothing for the teenagers. TD decided to add new clothing line for toddlers to attract new customers. I'm going to go through this scenario again. Tshegoe Designers specializes in selling clothing for teenagers. TD decided to add a new clothing line for toddlers to attract new customers. Right, the first question says, identify the type of diversification strategy that is applied by TD. So now we know that they're talking about diversification strategy. So Tshegoe has diversified her business or his business. Explain two other types of diversification strategy that could be applied by TD. The last question says, discuss the advantages of diversification strategies. Again, just a reminder, only diversification and intensive strategies has the advantages. Intensive strategy, not intensive, integration strategy and defensive strategies do not have advantages. Intensive strategy and diversification strategy are the only two business strategies that has the advantages. Right. So those are the three questions. Diversification strategy has got three types of strategy. So here you just have to identify the type that is identified or applied by Tshegoe Designers. Already you can see, I'm sure you've spotted the answer, the right answer. Right. The answer is concentric diversification. How do we know that it's concentric diversification? Because they're saying TD has decided to add a new clothing line for toddlers to attract new customers. So it's the same, it's a related product basically, because Tshegoe Designers specializes in selling clothing for teenagers, but she has decided to add a new clothing line. So this clothing line is related. Basically, it's clothes with clothes. So it's a related product to new customers. Right, so that is your concentric diversification. It's related. Clothes, it's related. All right, let's move on to the next question. The next question says, explain two other types of diversification strategies that could be applied by TD. Already we've got concentric, speaking about the same or related products. So here we've got horizontal diversification. What is horizontal diversification? The business adds new product or services that are unrelated or different to existing products, but they may appeal to existing or current customers. It occurs when a business acquires or merges with a business that is at the same production stage, but it may offer a different product. So you are selling in product line maybe, but yet you are now venturing into something else that is totally different, but it's going to be appealing to the same customers that you are having. So that is your horizontal diversification. The last one is conglomerate diversification. What is conglomerate? The business adds new products. I'm sure you have seen now. In all these three, we are adding new products, but the manner in which we are adding them, it's different because with the others, it's related to existing products, but others, it's unrelated. So here with conglomerate, the business adds a new product or service that is unrelated to the existing products, which may appeal to the new groups of customers. It's totally unrelated. I am selling food. I have a catering company. However, now if I were to go with conglomerate diversification or diversify my business, now I have now a hairdressing salon, which is totally different. It's unrelated to what I'm currently doing. It's a total different thing, or a new thing rather. So it appeals to new groups of customers. Right. Conglomerate diversification means that a business grows into a new product or service and markets new. Very important. It's new, and not only new, but unrelated to existing product unrelated to existing products. Right, the last question said, discuss the advantages of diversification strategy. Right, they go as follows: increases sales and business growth, improves the business brand and the image of the business, it reduces the risk of relying only on one product. We're not relying on one product, but since we've diversified, then we know that there's another product. Right, more products can be sold to existing customers and additional more new markets can be established. We're no longer focusing on one market, but now we've got new markets. Businesses gain more technological capabilities through product modification because we are changing or modifying our products. Right, so we are done with diversification strategy. Now we've got the fourth question. It says here, read the scenario below and answer the question that follows. We've got MAB photography, which is MP. MAB photography applied for a loan to cover operational costs. The employment contract of certain employees were terminated due to a decrease in the number of the product lines. It said, some of MP's assets that were no longer functional were sold. Right, it says some of the assets, at least it's not all of them. MP finally decided to sell their assets to repay creditors. So eventually, just when I was about to celebrate to say at least they did not sell, they're saying MP finally decided to sell their assets to repay the creditors. So can you see what has happened here? They've terminated a number of employees and they've sold some of their assets, but eventually or finally they've decided to sell the assets to repay creditors. So if they've sold their assets, meaning there is nothing on the business basically. Right, identify 3 types of defensive strategies. We've got 3 types of defensive strategies that is applied by MP. Motivate your answer by quoting from the scenario above. Right, so I'm sure you've quoted, you've identified, you understand what to do now. This is a defensive strategy. Don't forget, with a defensive strategy, it is the last strategy or the last resort. We've exhausted all the other strategies, and then this is going to be the last thing that we are doing in a business. Right. Right, it speaks of retrenchment here. We can see there's a retrenchment here. The employment contract of certain employees are terminated. To terminate is to end due to a decrease in the number of product lines. That is the first thing that they did. Right. And then the second defensive strategy is divestiture or divestment. Some of MP's assets that were no longer functional were sold. Key word here is some, not all of them. So that is basically the first thing that we do to try and defend ourselves. We're not going to just wake up and say, no, now we're going to sell everything. No, we start by selling some. And if we can see that the problem is still persisting, we're not winning even with the strategy that we came up with, then we can go to the last one, which is what? It's liquidation, which is a strategy. So it says here, MP finally, I hope you can see finally, meaning this was the last thing. It means now divestiture or divestment did not work, even after we've sold some of the assets. It says here, MP finally decided to sell the assets to repay the creditors, meaning they've sold basically everything to pay the creditors. So this brings us to an end of our strategies or defensive strategies. Like I said, defensive strategies, there are 3. Diversification, also 3, and intensive 3, integration, also 3. So we've come to an end of our application questions. We're going to go into a quick ad break, and then when we come back, we're going to wrap up everything. I'll see you just now.